We interrupt your regularly scheduled program to bring you another episode of We Can Help with Dave and Woody, already in progress.
7, 16, 15.
So why don't you say that after we start recording?
Well, I can. You want me to say it?
Yeah. Well, let's go with 9 tonight.
Versus 10?
Yeah. Or ask her to go to 11.
Alexa, do these go to 11?
From knowyourmeme.com. Guitar Center on their website uses the phrase these go up to 11 on amps that have the 11th volume setting.
The Spinal Tap.
Spinal Tap.
So for those, because Dave hit the record button late, he asked Alexa to go to 10. And so there we are. Interrupting my whole story about why frogs have 4 toes.
This sounds educational.
Well, were you listening?
Yeah, of course it was.
Okay. Well, then I'm not going to repeat
I kind
it.
of knew it. You ever had frog legs before?
Yeah, that's a dumb thing. There's not enough meat to it tastes like chicken. It tastes whatever you marinate it in is really what it.
Have you ever had frog legs? Just
Yes, yes, I had, and this was a fraternity event, as a matter of fact.
I wasn't there.
You weren't invited.
Did you
That's
gig
probably
them?
I mean, they're all right, but it.
Did you gig them?
Okay, sorry. I thought you said dig. Go ahead, explain gig.
No, it's a 3-prong, not 4 like their toes, but it's a 3-prong, trident.
A shrimp fork.
No, it's a big on a stick when you're on a John boat in the middle of the night out in the swamp. You're listening
So a
to that.
skewer.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a second. So you're talking about catching the frogs, not eating them.
Well, you got to catch them first before you eat them.
I didn't. I wasn't going to do that. Are you kidding me?
Were you at a
So you go
restaurant?
out, you catch your own frogs, and then you rip their little legs off,
They're not little, these ones.
and then you put the frogs back in the water?
They grow. They're reptiles. They grow back.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's
I don't think they do. I don't think. Hold on,
No, don't even. I mean, if you don't know the answer.
Alexa. Do frogs grow their legs back?
From Medoia.com. Adult frogs cannot regenerate their limbs.
Oh, that's sad.
So the tadpole can.
Well, that changes the whole frog leg industry. I was thinking.
Yeah, I know. Now you were.
I thought it was a renewable resource.
Yeah, you were putting yourself out of business. All these years, I've been eating frog legs, thinking, they'll come back.
Yeah, just give another season.
I always wondered why in the morning I came out and all the frogs were floating on top of the water.
Kind of limping along. It was a rough night last night. The neighbors got some of us. Was there like somber music playing in the background?
So did you enjoy frog legs? How did you prepare your frog legs?
Well, first of all, they taste like chicken.
No, they don't. They taste like frog legs.
I think they were fried. Everything's fried. Once you get like, I just had a whole thing of Oreos. I think if it's weird, you got to fry it.
Were you at the fair? Now you're in the midst of fair week.
Fair season.
Fair season. And what is the deep fried du jour at the Dade County Fair?
I did see some Oreos. I haven't had any. I did have a sliver of funnel cake last night.
How'd you manage just a sliver?
Well, so
did you stick your hand in the hot boiling oil and rip one out?
It might have been a finger. I don't know what it was. No, so yes, last night, we'll talk about this. Last night, maybe you can put a picture up or something. The Clay County Fair recognized the organization that I'm the chairman of the board for as our beneficiary, to be their beneficiary of essentially a can drive. They call it the Clay Fair Cares Day. And so plug out to Winn-Dixie Shopping, Winn-Dixie stores. They were gracious and hosted these really cool bins, these fiberglass bins. I'd like to get one on a pallet. I don't know what I'd do with it, but storage. And every store had one of these bins, and they collected people's, cans. And then Winn-Dixie was gracious enough to give us $1,000 donation in kind. So basically, Winn-Dixie branded, beans and corn and that sort of stuff. So thank you, Winn-Dixie. And then,
don't you mean Trader Joe's or Aldi?
Aldi?
Yeah,
threw me there for a minute. Well, not. I guess so. How would you say that? Vashaslovsky Gates is signing.
I have no clue.
Anyway, so we did
You know what?
that.
I always I back up. I
Yeah.
always say when they asked me to speak German, and now I totally blanked. Not Wiener Schnitzel. What was the Volkswagen thing?
Jetta,
No, the Farfennugan.
Harfenugan.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's funny.
yeah.
So so they had these bins at the fair last night, and people brought in canned goods, and they got a discounted ticket. So it was very nice. So one of the ladies, that's our executive director, in fact, she was there working as well, and she and her brother had to take off, but they had to go back inside and get some funnel cake for their mother because it's fair time, and her mom likes funnel cake, and she's
Who doesn't like
I
funnel cake?
know. And so I said, "Oh, that sounds fun." So she disappears. They go get a bite to eat, and it's fine. And then she comes back. One brown paper bag has her mom's funnel cake. She's got one on her plate. She goes, "You want to help me share it?" She's always conscientious about her health, unlike me. And so she said she was standing in line to get one, and a lady came up to her and said, "Don't order it from this place. They're too greasy."
Oh man, that's what you want.
I'm like, "It's funnel cake, and it's the fair."
And it's poured in grease no matter where you go. So
I would have said, "Have you seen this process, lady?" It's cake batter
in oil.
in oil, essentially. And I'm not sure what else there is to talk about. So it's not baked. No, it's fried in deep fat oil. So anyway, so I got a sliver of it. Now, apparently, the craze now is not only powdered sugar but chocolate and
Yeah, no,
strawberries.
stay traditional,
Yeah,
right?
you gotta go.
I want the whole experience of inhaling by accident when
Yeah,
you first get the funnel
sure.
cake close to your mouth, and then nearly dying. As
That's
with
a good one.
most foods you get at the county fair, you
Sure.
nearly die.
There's potential of that happening. Yeah,
Yeah.
either cardiac arrest or you inhale something. Yeah.
I've never tried. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
So anyway, let me wrap this one up because
Yeah.
it's riveting.
Yeah.
So I
on
had
edge of
just
my
a
seat.
sliver, and funnel cake is one of those things. When my wife and we used to volunteer at the fair for like 10 years. I'm like, it's the fair. It comes around once a year. This is your chance to kind of be splurgy. So funnel cake's on the bucket list. I haven't got that one yet, but I did have beef tips the other
Ooh.
night. I'd never had this before, but it's a seashell, open. What do you call
Like
it?
an oyster shell?
No. It's a plastic container. What do you call it? Clamshell
Oh,
plastic
clamshell.
container.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
In the bottom of it, they load it with mashed potatoes. Everything's cooked in a big iron skillet right there in front of you. It's really cool. And this apparently the iron skillets come from Switzerland.
Mm.
I got the whole story, but then they got these giant mushrooms that are roasting or sauteing. Then they got a whole bunch of onion sauteing, and this guy's over chopping up beef tips. And so it is delish.
I would imagine my wife makes a dish similar to that we just had last week, as a matter of fact. It is beef tips in a big skillet,
Yeah.
iron skillet, and mashed potatoes and whatnots. I don't know if I trust the meat at the county fair unless it's the
Well,
cows that were just shown a couple
I
hours
just
ago.
try not to look. I'm like,
That knife goes through the meat so easily.
you know what I don't trust is the rides.
Nowadays, looking back on it, and yeah, no, because look at the guys putting them together.
Yeah, that's
That's-
carnies.
Yeah.
And they, hey, boss, I got a couple extra screws. What do I do?
Yeah,
with
don't
these?
worry about it. All right, that ride only gets up to 60 miles
Save
an
them
hour.
for Savannah. We're always running out of screws in Savannah. I don't know. And so I have a buddy of mine that's a cop, and he said he used to get stationed at the fair, and those guys are always ripping each other off. The carnies.
Oh, it's got to be hard. I always remember in Orlando, one of the traveling circuses had a campground somewhere south of the airport, and I would drive by that.
That's
drive
Taft.
by
That's Taft.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah, that's where that family was headquartered. My brother
Okay.
went to school with those guys. It's a
Okay.
family, not Barnum and Bailey, but it's one
Nah, it was a smaller outfit. Yeah.
It was a named fair organization.
Yeah,
You
and
can't
so I'd
bring-
see it and I'd be like, who? Oh, it's the Carnies. Yeah.
Yeah, that place was kind of suspect.
Yeah, I never stopped or, knocked on any doors to ask what was going on. So
Yeah. Well, these
what are you
guys,
doing?
it's professional stuff. They roll out in fifth wheels. We have a campground adjacent to the fair where these people roll in with all their gig, all their stuff.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of a neat story. It's a neat American. I don't know if it's American because they do this in Europe. They're called gypsies in Europe,
Yeah.
but they have caravans and they travel all over the countryside.
Have you ever been to the Renaissance Fair?
Where they dress up in period clothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
No,
That's
no.
a traveling group as well, which I'm sorry I missed it.
No, I have. I think that's where Sheila did. My wife, she was a Renaissance performer in theater.
Oh, there you go.
She
So
did
she
Cross
traveled
and
around the country.
She did Cross and Sword, which was the history of Florida.
Oh, Cross the Sword. Okay. I know it by a different.
Sword and Cross. All right, we're getting off to this side.
I know,
Anyway,
way
so that
off
was
the-
my fair experience. It was fair.
Eh. Are you going to go back?
Yeah, so Friday is fair day at school, so we don't have any. Is that? Wait, tomorrow's Thursday.
Yeah, tomorrow's Thursday. It's
It's
Wednesday
over
night.
tomorrow. Fair day is over tomorrow.
There you go. At school.
Yeah, well, they get the day off, right?
So the whole school does, or just
the whole
the
county.
one? What?
The whole county. We're relatively an agricultural community still.
Do your kids go to school more than 12 days in a school year? Seems like you're always off.
Well, we're at the point now where fair day is it. This is the last one.
Yeah, say you're only you finish up by the end of May.
And then strap it on all the way to the end.
Okay.
Gonna get tough. It's already starting to get tough. The kids feel it.
Tough for you or for the kids?
They get spring fever.
Yes.
Yeah, it's. Oh, I do have a funny joke. So Doinker. Sorry, Danny.
Why can't you say his name?
I don't know. Danny, our buddy, is a fellow teacher, and so I sent him a text and said we had standardized testing going on this past week. I can't talk about too much of school, but I said standardized testing, get you some. And he's in Virginia, and he says ours are called Standards of Learning, or SOL. Great initials. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. So this week we're doing it's SOL. He thought he goes great initials, exclamation point. I said, that's funny.
Yeah. I wonder if it's one of those, board meeting kind of things.
Yeah, I was thinking of you,
It's,
man.
it's SOL, right?
I guess if you don't pass, you're
SOL.
SOL. Thanks, Danny, for that contribution. I did have one more funny thing to get us off I understand we have an email. Is that correct?
Oh, yes.
Hold on to that. Hold on. Let me tell you one more funny story. So my oldest daughter, my eldest, she's 36, and she's married and has a whole family, 5 kids. And so she's got it's amazing stuff that she does. Vanessa, if you're listening, hello. I love you. She calls me at 6:45, 7 o'clock this morning. And she called the day before, and I didn't answer it. I was doing something. Maybe it was the fair. And I tried calling her back, and then she didn't answer me. And so I was like, oh, maybe I couldn't tell if there was something going on. She was looking for somebody or whatever. So she calls me this morning, and I said, is this response to you calling me from yesterday? She goes, yeah. She goes, I got a great joke. I can't tell the joke because I'll screw it up.
She said that, or you're
No,
telling me that?
She told the joke was perfect. It's not really appropriate to say it, but I'll mess it up. And so I can't tell jokes. I don't tell jokes. I tell
that's
funny
what,
stories.
part of this process that we're doing is to learn, to better ourselves.
Yeah,
so you're going to line the whole thing up and say you can't tell the joke.
It's not really appropriate. It was one of those.
So why'd you bring it up?
Because I do that a lot. My friend calls it. My friend says Theus is at the 4-way stop. You inch out and then you stop. You inch out and stop. So I always want to leave people hanging. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is we had a really sweet connection, a daddy-daughter moment at almost 7 o'clock this morning, where she shared a somewhat off-color joke with her dad, and she was tickled. She was just tickled to tell it and get it right. And I laughed.
She knew you as an off-color guy would appreciate it.
She did, and that was something very special to me, that she thought of me to call me at 7 o'clock and share that with me. And she was just tickled that she could tell it.
All right. Well, why don't you type it up and I'll put it on the bottom of the screen?
No.
For anybody to read. But as you mentioned, we received an email this past week
from a listener.
Apparently, that's how they knew to send. Which, down at the bottom right here is an email address. I'm going the wrong way. There, like that.
Yeah.
At the bottom is an email address for everyone to
Email
send
us.
us questions like this. This wasn't so much a question as it was a statement. But it's from. I mean, do we give the name?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Mr. Kelly of Sigma Chi renown emailed us this past week. And for those who don't know, well, I don't know. So when you pledge a fraternity, there's a leader who leads the pledges. And Mr. Kelly was the leader of my pledge class.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So,
Does
and
he have a special name?
a Magister. Is that what you're-
Magister.
Yeah, we didn't give him a special name. No, but that's the position title.
If there's any Sigma Chi's listening.
Ask Alexa what that stands for.
No, she won't know. Alexa, what is a Magister?
From fandom.com. Magister was a star system located somewhere in the space of the galaxy's alpha or beta quadrants.
Always helpful.
I thought it was the movies near Lake Asbury.
She was going on a Star Wars riff or something there. But yeah, there's a name. That is a Roman type magistrate. It's probably what it comes from, right?
I think it's Magister, from which magistrate comes from.
Yeah, that's kind of what I meant. So,
Okay.
Come on, follow along here, Dave.
Essentially.
So anyhow, he was questioning my my family outings that we do, where we went dog counting and pollen dusting, and I truly, Kelly, I'm not going to repeat the importance of these two events for the neighbors and for my own sake. Getting the pollen down off the trees and counting the dogs in the neighborhood.
Well, the pollen is obvious. I mean, you're helping people, right?
Well, mainly myself, yeah.
It's a little self-serving, but you're the neighbors benefit, right?
I assume so, yeah, because now my pollen's not blowing in
But
there.
you did say something I didn't catch when you did say that the other night. You remove it in I think
Yes.
a very scientific way, but then you dump it in their yard.
Did I say that?
I think you did.
I didn't mean to.
So is that
May have admitted to something that shouldn't have.
an illegal dumping?
Yeah. Yes. I don't
All
want
right.
to drive all the way to the dump with the pollen, Dave.
I mean,
Come on.
why bother?
That's a long trip. But no, so thank you, Mr. Kelly, for your questions. And
But the dog counting, I know you don't want to go back there, but I think his question was to whom does it benefit?
well, it benefits the Humane Society.
Is
Knowing
HOA
how-
involved in this?
No, I'm doing this on behalf of the HOA. They didn't ask me to do it, but I do it for them.
So does that make you like a super HOA guy when you're willing to do things like that, even though the
Absolutely.
HOA doesn't want you to, it doesn't aware of it?
Essentially.
I got a great HOA story, actually.
Oh, everybody does have
A
a
real
great HOA story. They're horrible, depending on the neighbor. What I like about ours is we don't pay a lot of money for it, so people don't take it super serious. I think what happens is when your bill's like $1,200 a year, people get all righteous about how their money's being spent, and
I don't know what it is. I think it's just the elixir of the power. So we lived in a place over in St. Johns County. It was before St. Johns County, Florida blew up.
Wow, who did that?
Who blew it up?
Yeah.
The Russians.
I thought it was the North Koreans you meant.
And everything's from this point forward. We're going to blame the Russians for everything because it's election season. Anyway, so we had this neighborhood. It was new. We built in what do you call that? Phase 1, and we stayed till phase 3 and sold and cashed out. But this lady, so I had a kind of a corner lot, so huge front yard and side yard, and not so big backyard. And my garage you came in off of one side with a long driveway. Anyway, so it was not uncommon for the neighbor across the street, the guy who repowered the nuclear plants, that's where he lived. He would sit out there with his wife with the garage door open. They would smoke cigarettes, and then he had like comfortable chairs. And those people that live in their garages?
Yeah, like me.
Your neighbors? Do you
Yeah,
do that?
I do that. Mhm.
You have like
My
comfy
workshop's
chairs
in the
and TV
garage.
in there.
Not yet, but I
You
at
working on
my
it?
other retirement home, I will.
But I mean, but you have neighbors that have like the big screen TV.
Yep.
There's
Across
cozy
the street
chairs.
from me does the same thing.
Yeah,
Yep.
and so they live in their garage. I mean, I don't know if they're
Yeah.
smoking or whatever they're doing, but that's what he did. And so I never did. I would sit out. I guess I did sit out there and smoke cigars on my driveway there because I've done it everywhere. Anyway, so this lady rolls up in her car, and she comes over to me in my garage. I'm sitting in the driveway with my garage door open, and I think I've got a big yellow a golden retriever, yellow lab, whatever, sitting next to me. And she goes, "Hi, my name's Sally. You know, what's your name?" I said, "Hey, I'm Dave." And she goes, "I'm with the HOA, and I'm just making my rounds." I'm like, "Oh, that's cool, cool." Well,
Bringing the welcome wagon around.
yeah, I'm like, "You're making your rounds. What do you mean?" And so she pulls out this clipboard.
Oh boy.
No, it wasn't a clipboard. It was a binder of Green Bond. Remember Green Bond? The paper?
No.
You remember the computer paper, the Green Bond? It was
Oh yeah. The dot matrix printers would crank it
yeah.
out.
She had a Green Bond, folder with multiple
Yeah.
pages. I'm like, "Oh, that looks pretty intense. Is that they put you to work doing that stuff?" She goes, "No, I'm documenting the folks that leave their garage doors open." And so now I'm on.
Oh, so she wasn't counting dogs.
No. She.
I thought with the lab next to you, maybe she was coming
maybe
up to
she
ask you if
was.
you had.
Maybe that was a secondary
Mhm.
mission she was on.
See?
It could have been. So I go, "So help me understand. What do you mean garage doors open?" Well, according to our HOA, you're not allowed to. We prefer that you don't leave the garage door open more than 30 minutes at a time. And I've noticed, I drove by earlier on my way to the other side of the neighborhood. You've been out here for like she clicked the thing and with chalk, I was going to time it.
She chalked your feet around the bottom of your chair.
You've been out here for more than 30 minutes. And I said, "Yeah, I'm smoking a cigar. They usually take me about 3 hours to complete.
Right.
I'm not smoking inside. I'm smoking in my driveway."
Yeah.
And so she goes, "Well, I just want to, I'm not trying to start any trouble."
Oh,
Mr.
yeah.
Dave."
Too late.
I'm like, "Yeah, you got out of your car." And so I said, "What do you mean?" And she goes, "Well, here's the rule." She didn't cite it, but it's 30 minutes. And so I said, "Well, what if I'm mowing my yard and I got to get the lawnmower out of the garage? What am I supposed to do?" She goes, "Well, we prefer that you exit the garage with your equipment and then shut the garage door."
Will do.
I said, That's obvious. What was I thinking? Because it keeps the grass from blowing in there, right? So you're helping me. It was unbelievable. So
it's a win-win.
She went on with this whole story about the garage door, and I said, "Is there anything else that I should know that you do? Because this is a very important work that you're doing for our neighborhood. I want to bring you up."
I'm sure you said it just that nicely.
Yeah, I want to bring you up for the next meeting for maybe accommodation or something. Get off my property before I run you over.
Oh, so that was the end of it, or did she
No,
come
she
back?
never came back around.
And
Oh, you know what I did? This was getting close to Christmas, so.
You know what you should have done, Dave? You should have had someone paint your garage door like it looks like the garage.
Or it was open, like it was open.
So it's open. And then sit out there and wait for her to come back by again and go, "Nah, it's closed."
So Christmas comes around, and we had a brand new Ace Hardware built over in Ponte Vedra. This is over at the beach where we were living, close to the beach. And they had these wise men, like a nativity scene. And I kid you not, Woody, they were like 16 feet tall. So I went up to Sheila and I said, "This is it. We're getting this for the front yard." And she goes, "Oh, it's going to be way too much money." And it was like $1,200 for the whole set. I'm like, "No, I'm not spending $1,200 on this thing, but I wanted it bad. I was like, these things are monsters. And so I said, "Well, we got to get something." Well, this was at the very beginning of those inflatables. Everyone's
no, they did not have that.
So it wasn't a nativity scene.
Oh, it's like I've never seen it.
But it was Frosty the Snowman and a little Frosty guy, and then something else. And there's a picture of me at the school that had one, but the one they have a picture with me at the school is a third of the size of this one. Mine went up over the crest of the rooftop. Okay? It took like a whole industrial fan to blow it up.
The guys at the space station are like, "Hey, we see.
Hey, there's Frosty." So I set this sucker in the front yard, and the entire neighborhood was like, "Yes, what are you up to?" I says, "That stupid HOA lady comes back around. This is it."
I bet you there's got to be something there about decorations only being so large or so
Uh,
much square footage or something. Yeah, it gets insane, and it's just like the star that the what do they call them on the ranger on the golf course. That's got to tell you to speed play up.
yeah, we've
Yeah,
had that
that's
story.
exactly what I need to hear right now from you because the only reason I'm playing slow is because I'm losing every effing ball I'm hitting, right? So
Now I
I
can
need some
feel
guy
your
to
stress.
roll up. I need some guy to roll up in his golf cart. Yeah, I'm playing one time. I'm playing horribly. I'm like chunking the ball 20 feet and something. And I hear coming down the cart. You know how the gas golf carts,
Yeah.
in the background. I hear it and I hear it stop. And I line up for my next shot. And I know it's the Ranger because he stopped as get next, and then I chunk the ball and, and he's just following along behind me. As finally I turn around and I'm like, what do you want?
You're not helping me.
Yeah, exactly. You're not helping me speed up, Eddie. Well, I'm just gotta tell you, you need to pick, you speed up. Okay. Yeah, I'll hit a better shot next time because I was hitting 20-yard shots on purpose just to annoy you. So
I think I told that story about my experience with the Ranger. We said you're going to have to speed it up a little bit, and I said, no, no, I paid the greens fee. I'm going to see the entire course.
I'm getting my money's worth. I
It
paid
wasn't
about a
my
year.
fault. It was the group ahead of us. It's never your fault. It's always these guys in front of us are slow.
Yeah, they just took off just now. But
All right.
speaking of golf, you see what I'm wearing today?
Uh, now I do. Ooh, the Masters.
Yeah. Have you ever been?
I have not.
Oh, I just want to drop back to Mr. Kelly one more time.
Oh yeah, let's
I
wrap
believe
this up.
he's a Palm Coast / Bunnell resident, and he knew of my family from the Bunnell area.
Really?
Yeah,
The Bunnell Woodies.
yeah, they go by a different name, but my mom's maiden name. But he knew my cousins and
Really? Did he just say that to make you feel like you were part of the fraternity? And
yeah, I think so. He felt bad for me because I was the outcast. No one would talk. I was like Rudolph, man. No one would let me play in the fraternity games. So yeah, he felt sorry for me. So
I
threw
like
me a
Pat.
bone.
I like
I
Pat.
did too. I did too. And I apologize, Mr. Kelly. I was trying to come and talk to you at the
Event,
dinner
the big show,
festivities. What's that?
the big show.
The big show. And every time either I couldn't find you or you were engaged in deep conversation with other people and I didn't want to interrupt.
Probably
So
with psychos.
my bad. And then I was pretty tired, so I took off early, I think. Well, 10 o'clock, 10:30, early. I wasn't like Dave and drinking up a storm at the hotel.
There was no storm. It was not. It was cloudy, but it wasn't a storm.
Things are a little cloudy the next
Someone
morning.
said we were up till 5 a.m.
I
on
I
Saturday.
I knew it was at least 3 because
Got a phone call?
Pinner. Well, no, Pinner
Oh.
told me. I saw him at breakfast next morning.
I don't think it was 5. That was Lucas telling us that. But anyway, it could have been.
Yeah, because
All right.
Lucas don't know nothing. Anyhow, the Masters. Have you ever been to the Masters?
So the closest, no, the answer is no, the short answer, but let me give you a little almost. So my buddy Steve Boyle, if he's listening, he would always put in for the practice round or for
Okay.
anything. There's a drawing
Yeah,
or a
right.
lotto.
Mhm.
And he got practice round tickets. He got to go, but I couldn't get out of work back in the day when I had to go to work. Anyway, so he had practice round and he went up there with a couple buddies and I missed it. I've never been.
That's your story. I
Yep.
missed it.
I've never been.
Why did you miss it?
I had to
I
work.
mean, what could have been more important?
Well, in hindsight, nothing, but it was the practice round.
Yeah. So I guess it's 3 years ago now. Would have been 2021. Yeah, so 3 years ago. One of the companies that I was purchasing product from offered me some tickets to the Masters. So I had never been, always wanted to go. They gave me the choice. Well, they actually said I could go for all 4 days. They gave us, they had a house rented that everybody could stay at, and they would drive us back and forth to the tournament. Well, I couldn't do that because if you totaled up all that was worth,
Oh yeah, the
It
gifting.
exceeded what I was allowed to accept because, of course, I would
Bribes.
have, written nothing but POs to them from there
Forever.
on out, right? Because
Essentially.
they know me, and that's how I roll.
I'm
You give,
easy.
you give me free stuff, you get POs.
Doesn't
So
matter. Golf balls, whatever. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
so I talked to my boss and I said, "How about if I just drive down for one day?" So I went on Saturday. I had an extra ticket. Some guy was supposed to go with me, didn't go. And so I show up at that house at, I don't know, like 7 in the morning. I get my 2 tickets. I drive over to the tournament, and I didn't realize that they were like above and beyond all that they were offering. These were special tickets in the sense that I guess about 2020 or 2019, they built a whole new section of behind the 14th green and the 15th tee, I believe that, or the 13th, behind the 13th green, 14th tee.
Hmm.
About 100 yards off, you can't see it, but it was a whole, you know, what the clubhouse at Augusta looks like, the white stately building with the tall, that kind of,
Yeah. I mean, I've
you
seen
know,
the pictures.
right. So it's about the size of a small mall, but it's reserved for very, if you're a big spender at the tournament and all that kind of stuff, you get in there. So I will say, I came around the corner, and as tradition is at Augusta, if you're a new member, you're obligated to greet guests.
Right.
So guess who my greeter was? You'll never get it, but go ahead, take it. Famous, someone famous. So give you that.
Politics,
No, sports.
sports.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say.
Oh, okay. No,
But
it was Peyton Manning.
are you serious?
Yes, I come around the corner. There's Peyton Manning saying, and he of course, two people
Dude's
had him.
6'5", man. He's tall.
Yeah, no, there's no way I was missing this guy. I come around, I'm like, oh, there's Peyton, and he's talking to two people, and I ended up going by myself. I had the extra ticket, but someone couldn't go, so and I felt kind of ruined a day for me because I'll explain the rest of it to you. So, Peyton's sitting there, and I was going to say something funny to him, like, who's his brother? No one ever knows.
He has two brothers.
Yeah, Eli, and I forget the other kid's name, but I was going to say,
Lewin.
where's so and so? Like on the commercial, they're like, where's so and so? He's my favorite. But it looked like he was having a serious conversation. So anyhow,
Did you get a chance to say hi to him?
no, I didn't. I have a general rule that when I see someone famous out and about, if they're not working, if they're not in a work situation, I don't bother them.
Yeah, but
Right.
clearly he was there for a reason.
Well, he's personally joined a club and he was obligated to say hello. I mean, there was other new members greeting guests, so
Hmm.
he was
I respect that.
yeah.
You
So
just gush.
I generally try not to bother famous people unless they're in a work thing, like they're, touting a new movie or something along those lines.
Do you find the general public reciprocates that same thing to you? I mean, when you go out in
Yeah.
public, do people leave you alone pretty much?
Yeah, for the most part, I've never been accosted out in public for my although John Rhodes, he was accosting us about our podcast at the Sigma Chi outing.
I think he was drunk.
Well,
No.
that's the same thing.
No, I
You
don't
know?
think. I don't think John.
No,
drinks
he was
anymore.
pitching us. He was pushing us hard, man. Selling the show to everybody. So
I
we
had
should
to
thank
do
him.
autographs. I had a signing later that night at his house. I don't know what
Did
was
you?
going
Did you get paid?
on. The memories are still kind of cloudy. Anyway, all right, Peyton Manning.
Whoa.
Omaha.
Yeah, the Omaha guy, right? So I go inside, and I like I said, so inside it's basically a giant food court, and when I say food court, I mean it's a hallway just beautiful 5-star like hotel setting with restaurants down either side.
Yeah.
And so I get there, I don't know, it's like 7:30 in the morning because I was just going to take full advantage of the day being there. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll get some breakfast. And I go over to the restaurant, and they seat me and they give me a menu. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, there's no prices on the menu. And I'm like, oh man, how much money is this? What's this going to run me or whatever? Free, totally free. No
Yeah.
tipping, drinks, everything,
Well,
alcohol.
whoever bought your ticket, there's no
Yeah.
free lunch.
Well, yeah, that ticket wasn't free. I won't say who the vendor was, just in case I get in trouble for telling them that they were giving out that stuff. But so I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, all right, it's 7:30 in the morning. I'm looking around. Is anybody else drinking? Because there's people sitting at the bar already. And I'm like,
Let's go.
I'm on the vendor's ticket. You've heard the stories of bastards of people getting in trouble, right? And kicked out forever.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, all right, I'm not going to
John
mess
Daly was
around.
selling T-shirts and hats in the parking lot one year.
I'm not going to get this company in trouble, and I don't want to get myself in trouble. So I'm like, I'll stay off the booze. So essentially walked the course twice that day, and it is extremely hilly. So it was a cold, windy day, but I enjoyed it thoroughly. I did make a point to go back up to this clubhouse during midday and sat down at the bar and had a few drinks.
Very nice.
Just because I thought, well, hey, free alcohol. And I'm talking top shelf stuff too.
No, yeah.
Not like
Not
Kmart.
like that rot gut you're used to getting.
Exactly.
It's called the Masters for a reason.
Right. Yeah,
It's not the apprenticeship.
no, I almost got hit by a
Or
golf ball.
journeyman. Yeah.
Cam, he plays for Live Tour now. Cam something or other.
Cam Newton.
Yeah, Cam Newton. He was out there playing. Yeah. But
I-
anyhow, I've never spent. I kind of have a rule of thumb on knit shirts that I don't spend more than like $40 on
Was
one.
that a free shirt?
No,
No.
that was $100, and
I
that's
saw you coming.
yeah. Well, in fact, it was probably the cheapest shirt in the gift shop. So
Yeah, a friend of
I
mine.
did-
Go ahead.
no, I did that, and then you asked earlier, did I try the pimento cheese sandwich?
Yeah.
Which I did, along
Yeah.
with beer, and it very inexpensive. Like I said, the beer was $4, and it was one of those 16-ounce cups in a souvenir cup. Still have it. And
That's
the sandwich was probably $3 or something like that. But I wasn't a big fan. I like pimento cheese, but for some reason, it just didn't hit the spot that day for me.
Yeah.
It
You
didn't
told the
go
free
well. It
prime
didn't
rib.
pair well with the Blue Moon beer I had.
Blue Moon. Well, I think Peyton Manning is one of those guys. I would like to. So I don't want to turn this into people that are famous that we know, because we did that show a couple episodes back. I don't know what it's called, but you can listen to it. But there were two guys. And I can't remember his name now. All of a sudden, he played for the Oakland Raiders, defensive tackle. I have to keep doing this in my head, and it'll come to me. Number 75. Get all this information. He's a reporter he's one of the newscasters with CBS. Not Lyle.
Lyle Lovett.
No. Yes, no. Unbelievable.
Lyle Azedo.
No, that's he's dead. Good looking guy. Number 75.
All right.
Hold on. Alexa, who wore number 75 defensive tackle for the Oakland Raiders?
About 17
From
people.
Alamy.com. Oakland Raiders defensive end Regan Upshaw, 91, and
See?
defensive tackle Chris Cooper, 75, celebrate on Sunday, December 9th.
See, I told you.
Oakland, California.
No,
They're not Oakland. They're the Las Vegas Raiders, buddy.
that's not it. Anyway, oh God, I feel like an idiot. This is one of my heroes. Anyway, so I'm in Cincinnati at the airport. The Kentucky, Cincinnati.
Yeah. The one on the border there.
Yeah. And so he's on the radio with I have a dementia moment. The guy that
Riveting story.
guy that went to Florida was the announcer. He was a receiver. He played at Titusville or Cocoa Beach. Chris
Collinsworth.
So Collinsworth was the story's going to come together in a minute. Chris Collinsworth was on Monday night or Wednesday, Saturday, I don't know what it was, and he was complaining about you got to tuck yourself out of bounds. If you catch the ball and you're running, it's okay to run out of bounds.
Okay.
He was pussing out basically, and he went on this whole thing. And the guy that I'm talking about from Oakland, he was like, "You're a puss," basically.
Right.
So anyway, this guy's walking through the airport, and I'm sitting there waiting for a flight to go to Chicago. And he comes up, and he's wearing blue jeans pants. He's got a denim shirt on and a denim jacket. The guy's like mono jeans and boots on. And
Jay Leno.
no, he didn't play football.
No,
I
but
can't
he
believe I
wears
can't remember
denim.
this guy's name.
That's all he wears is denim.
Um,
Why don't we all wait for Dave to have
Oakland Raiders sports announcer number 75. Okay.
Would you like me to fill time
Yeah.
with the what's that?
Let's see here.
So one time I was in the airport with our hotelier friend and Herschel
Howie
Walker.
Long.
Oh,
Got that story off. Howie Long.
Fox News.
All right. So I'm sorry. We'll come back to your hotel board.
Yeah, sure you will.
Anyway, so because it's worse than mine. Howie Long.
At least
is
I
walking-
remember his name.
That's right. Howie Long is walking down the corridor, and you know when you're sitting in those chairs, your feet are kind of in the corridor. So he's 6'4", I think. He's my size, but he's a little bit better shape. And so
Just a tad.
I stand up. He sees me stand up, and he's probably thinking, okay, this guy's going to be a jerk. And I said, Mr. Long? He goes, yeah. How you doing? I said, I stuck my hand out to shake his hand. I said, Dave Theus. He goes, how you doing, Dave? I said, first of all, I don't usually do this. I'm a big fan. I feel like I'm gushing a little bit. He goes, that's okay, Dave. You're doing okay. I'm like, thanks, Howie. And I said, but do me a favor. Can you tell Collinsworth to button it up a little bit? This whole cutting out of bounds. He goes, yeah, what a puss, isn't he? I'm like, hey, have a good flight. Hit him on the back. He goes, thanks, Dave. Nice meeting you.
The Rams were accused of that when they were the greatest show on turf, right? That the receivers would go down all the time as soon as they caught the ball instead of running with it more. But that was the strategy they had because they wanted to get back to line of scrimmage and go again. And they were going across the middle almost exclusively. So that's why they would throw the ball and go down quickly.
I always thought if I ever got to that level that I would want to play for John Madden because John Madden was an old
You
offensive.
and everyone else.
Well, but not because of what came later, but he was an old offensive lineman. And so I always thought he got it. And so there's an old, remember NFL films?
Yeah, they're still around.
Well, but you know the early days they were great classics, and so they sent the NFL film like a documentary out to Oakland. I think he was getting ready for a Super Bowl. It was his Super Bowl year when he was coaching, and they said because he was a young coach taking the team to the Super Bowl, had a kind of a story there, and they were saying the Raiders are thought to be kind of the Raiders. They're kind of they do things their own way, and so how do you keep this bundle of misfits all together? And so he says real easy. So I guess he was like a model airplane aficionado, had the controls and they fly all over the place. And so he goes, it's real simple. And so what he did is he had one of these planes and he was strafing the guys. He was fly down low over the field
Nice.
and you could see all this huddle of guys running around the field to get away from it. And basically he was saying, I make them run and I have the plane chase them or something. I don't know. It was kind of funny. I thought Madden was hilarious.
Yes.
Yeah, and Howie Long's story was a cool story. They said they brought me in. They didn't make me do any bench presses. They didn't make me jump and see how I could jump. They didn't time how fast I went. They just gave me a helmet and said, go play ball. So he was kind of a fun story.
Yeah, one of his sons played for the Rams as well. So
Howie?
yeah, he has
Really?
2 sons that played in the NFL.
I don't know. He's got a bunch of kids.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. Well, it's 7:59. We started
Well-
at 7:15. Great show.
Yeah, so far.
That's
We got
okay.
another 15 minutes or so.
Oh,
But
boy.
before you forget, so me and Hotelier are in the airport and Herschel Walker goes by.
Yeah.
And so me, it's funny, I just said my rule about not bugging people. I'm like, and he's like, I'm going to meet Herschel Walker because he was playing for Dallas at the time. This is before he got traded. I think it was to Minnesota in that blockbuster thing that set up the whole Cowboys for the next 10 years. So we were at the Dallas airport. So he went down there and I came back and said, what you tell him? And he said, oh, yeah, I met him. I said, Herschel, when you run left, put the ball on the left. When you go right, put the ball on the right. I'm like, shut up.
Brad said that?
Yeah.
I'm sure he did. Herschel doesn't do any weights.
How do you know?
Well, I met him, but he was a kid.
Oh, really?
He was playing for the Generals.
Yes, that was his first team. He played for Georgia before that.
Well, yeah, but he played for Trump. Trump owned the Generals.
Yes,
and they practiced at UCF.
the Generals did.
Yeah, and I was at UCF that year for a spring, trying to walk on.
Well, why didn't I know this? Because you came on
This
after
is
me.
before you.
Oh,
Yeah.
so UCF turned you down first.
I was
Yeah, right,
I'd
Dave.
been to Europe and I'd lost all my weight. I was down to about 215 pounds.
Oh, so you were trying to walk on the team. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I thought you meant on to like be a student at
No,
UCF.
a friend of mine was playing there at the time, and he said, "Come on out." And I went and talked to the coaches, and I was just, it was over.
So that was in your days of nonage then.
Nonage.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
See? This is how it works. I don't know what the word is, and it throws me, and then it dawns on me what you're doing.
Okay.
Nonage.
Yeah, word of the week is nonage.
Hold on. So nonage, the prefix is non, which means zero, no amount.
You're pretty good. Yeah, you're getting it. If I tell you how it's spelled, I think you'll figure it out now. Because it's not spelled as it sounds.
Nonage.
Yeah.
Nonage. What is it?
It's Nonage.
Alexa.
No, don't ask her. You're on to it. So break it down again.
Okay, nonage.
Nonage.
Is it of no value?
What's the last three letters there, buddy?
Age.
Yeah.
You weren't.
It's a period of immaturity or youth.
Oh.
So you were close, but then you didn't drive it home.
Well, that's all I can do with Latin 4. I can get us in the ballpark.
Yeah, you've been in the ballpark so many times.
Then I go right back to Dehi Mihi Bonum Kaput. For those,
would you like to verify with Alexa?
The nonage or the Dehi?
Whatever you want. Whatever you want.
Alexa, please define nonage.
As a noun, knowledge is usually defined as
Good. Do you slur or something? Why can't she ever understand you?
I think I have a hair lip. All right, Alexa, please define nonage.
As a noun, knowledge is usually defined as
Let me try it.
Facts,
Let me try.
truths.
Let me try. Alexa, define nonage.
As a noun, knowledge is usually defined
good
as
Lord.
Alexa, define Nonaage.
Nonage is usually defined as the period of legal minority or of an age below 21. For more, ask me to give you more definitions.
So it's non of age. Non-age.
Yes.
Not of age.
Yep. So
I can use that one. I think that could incorporate in my lexicon. Nonage. How old are you? It looks like you're nonage.
I always, I remember in school when they give you a list of words to learn, and you had to write a sentence for each one. I absolutely suck at that. So when I read these words to use I try to write down a sentence or something. Mine always is my sentence was always like,
C-spot run.
The teacher asked me to define nonage. It's like I could never think of a way to use them.
That's the root of your smart aleck.
Right. I could never think of a way to use them in a sentence. And the same, it still plays tonight in this same age, because I every week I'm like, how am I going to use this? Fit this word.
Asked me to write down the word of nonage.
Because it's not like I could put 5 of these up and try to fit one in, because there's no way I'll remember them. So I have to bring one up and find an opportunity to slide it in. But pretty good, because tonight is where we go around the house and straighten all the picture frame night in the Woody household, and we're about to run out of time. So
so do you use a square or level?
Depends. Right. What a square is not going to, square is just going to prove the frame is squared.
Yeah, the square doesn't help you.
Right. But the problem is if you just put a level on the frame, right? Yes, it's level to gravity.
Yeah.
But what if my floor is not level? Right? So then we check the floor. And if the floor is out of level, but the frame is level, then we break out the square and make sure that it's square to the floor.
Okay, I think I'm following you. So what type
Okay.
of floor do you have?
Well, it depends. There's carpet and wood
No,
flooring.
is it a slab, concrete slab, or are
Yeah,
you
yeah. The house is on a slab. Yeah,
okay? So the first story is slab, concrete.
yeah.
So wow, I get it because you could have a slight little
Mhm.
deviation in the flooring.
Right, because it wasn't done with the utmost care. Right, they
Well, I
just
mean,
threw
it probably was. It just happens that way.
yeah. So yeah, so your floor can be a little on level. So if you simply just level your frames, Dave, I mean
So
it's
so
very simple.
you don't eye it. You take each frame and you set the level, and then if it's some variation, then you've got to go right to the floor because that's your first. What if your ceiling is not level?
Then we break out the Pythagorean theorem and break down where the optimal angle would be to
I thought you were going to say
bisect those two.
I thought you were going to say you break out the sledgehammer.
Yeah. We just take the picture down at that point. It's just not going to work. So, and with time, that's why we dedicate an evening to it each year to do this. So it'll be
Is
next
the
year again.
missus is this a thing the missus enjoys, or does she feel somewhat under duress, or is it her idea
Well, it's more of a family event, Dave. I mean, it's more about the family getting together and learning and working together
as a team?
to get to a common goal.
Yeah. I mean, what are you without straight pictures?
Crooked. Do you know the word cattywampus?
Cattywampus, sure.
Yeah, that may have been one of our early words on here, as a
No,
matter
we've
of
used
fact.
it though.
All right.
Wow.
Yeah. You didn't know, did you? So
Do
now,
you have like music playing to this? Do you set music?
no, because music will sometimes make the walls vibrate a little bit too much, and once you get the picture back, and then you're doing this every night at that point. So
You know, my dad used to tell us not to slam the car doors because it would knock the headlights out of alignment.
I
Remember the
believe
old
that.
cars? The
Yeah,
old cars had that big headlamp
right. And
that
you,
had a ring around it
yep.
that would tighten up, but then it basically slid in that socket like an eye socket until you tightened up that ring. And he was convinced that if you slammed the car doors, it would make the things.
He just want you to stop slamming the car
So what we
doors.
did one time when we were old enough is I got a screwdriver and I went out there and moved all the light bulbs.
He's,
They were
so
all
he's looking at owls as he's driving down the
cockeyed
road.
going down the road. I'm like, Dad, I think you're onto something about slamming those doors.
I was thinking maybe you would have pointed him at the oncoming traffic, so he would have
I'll turn
annoyed
sideways
everybody.
this way. He probably said it's a bad day to quit drinking.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I don't want to get in between you and your picture frames. I mean, heck,
I mean, I feel like you're making fun of it, but
no,
it's a
and
serious event, Dave.
well, I understand that. And if I have come across in some form or fashion as disparaging or at least discounting it, then you've interpreted it well.
Because I guarantee you tonight, you're going to walk out into your living room or wherever you're going to be like,
No,
it's off.
you know, for years I wouldn't let my wife hang pictures because I didn't want to go through that process.
Are you serious?
Yeah, yeah. So what we would do
You
is
just had blank walls?
blank walls with pictures leaning against the wall. This is where it would go if we were gonna.
On the floor, leaning against the wall.
Yeah, it was a trend for a while. That's what I kept telling my
Now, in
wife.
art museums, what do they do?
It's called like a chair rail, but it's called a picture rail,
Yeah.
and it's a piece of trim that goes across the top and hang wires down.
Yeah.
That's the way I would like to have done it.
Well, you'd have to make that level. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Maybe if I do that here, then you see, look at that picture right behind me. It looks crooked, doesn't it?
I think it's your floor.
I need to get on it.
All right. Well, that sounds. What was the other thing? You had the picture thing, and what was the other second part of it?
I don't know.
I thought it was a two-part thing tonight.
No. You asked me about the square versus the level.
Oh, that's it. That's it. Okay. Well, I don't know where this is leaving our listeners if they're mystified.
Well, they're all looking at their pictures right now, wondering,
I wonder how many people will try that.
are they crooked? So
I do have one more qualifying question about this. Is there like a calendar? Do you set this stuff up? I mean, who orchestrates all these? Because you got
It's
a pretty
one of-
busy schedule.
Well, yeah, it's one of these things. Well, something like this, which is annual. We just have a calendar what do you call those calendars that have just the dates are on there, not the days of the week? Eternal
Paper?
calendar,
Sure.
essentially.
Essentially.
Yeah. You don't put Tuesday, Wednesday, just every month has its days down. So we just write in there what
Which you
we
did
do
last
on
year.
that week. Yeah, and then just flip to that week as we get to it. Like, oh, look, it's picture frame straightening night here. In
Well,
the
I was
Woody
going to
house.
say, is there a moment of jubilation?
A glee. Yeah, mostly glee.
Is this a gleeful one?
Oh yeah, come on now. You get to look at pictures and
Memories?
yeah. Well, not
Okay.
memories
All right.
because
I don't want- I
some
don't
of them
wanna-
are art. Yeah, true art.
I don't want to insult you because that's not what I'm trying to do.
All right, sounds good.
I'm going to build you up and be supportive.
Now you go out and count dogs in your neighborhood.
Uh-uh. Okay. I think this is a good point to.
Step off or jump off.
Funny, I was thinking step off. You're doing the thing that Sarah and I did. Sarah was visiting last week. Did I tell you the Sarah story?
About how you would
No. What she
trick
flew in
people?
for Easter? Did I tell that story?
No.
Total surprise.
We talked about Easter egg hunts.
Yeah, so I called her. I called her. She didn't answer the phone. This is before Easter break, and I was being a dad moment. I said, "You're going to be up there, but what's going on?" I said, "What are you doing for Easter?" Well, it turned out she had a golf tournament, and they played in the golf tournament. Then they had a golf tournament that was going to be over the Easter weekend.
Oh, okay.
But they canceled it due to weather or something up there, so she couldn't play. So Monday she calls mom and says, "Listen, we canceled our golf tournament. I get the week off. Can I come down? Can I come home for Easter?" And so mom went to scurrying around looking for flights. Easter week, that's a good week to plan.
Yeah, it's a good week
fly.
to try and find flights.
But we found a bunch of points, and so she got a real deal on a flight. So they booked it. Well, they didn't tell me. They wanted to surprise me. So
they didn't want you to go. No, that's too much money. Cancel the flight.
Well, that might have been it too. But
Yeah.
but I was feeling a little melancholy because I was thinking she's going to be up there for Easter. Now she's close to her aunt and uncle, but I don't like her, all the time over there.
With other family members.
Yeah, and I don't want to overstay her welcome. So I called her. She didn't answer. She was doing something. I was doing something. Then I texted her and said, "Look, I'm sorry. I think it was the podcast." And I said, "I'm sorry I missed you, but are you going to be up there by yourself for Easter? Are you going to spend it with somebody?" She goes, "Yeah, we're going to do something. Don't worry about it,
Yeah.
Dad." And I said, "Can I send you some money?" She goes, "Yeah."
Yeah, hell yeah.
So I Venmoed her a C note and said, "Well, enjoy yourself." And so we get off Thursday.
Can I give you my Venmo account?
Yeah, sure. So Thursday is our last day at school. We get Good Friday off. And I said to Sheila, "Let's go to Whitey's on the water."
Whoa. Oh, okay.
Anyway, so we go down to Whitey's and we're finding a place to sit. Well, lo and behold, she's already been to the airport and picked her up. And she's delivered her to a friend. Her friend's taking her to Whitey's and she's waiting in the wings. So she comes around the corner with her phone on video and she goes, "Hi, my name's Sarah. Can I take your order?" And I thought I was going to have a heart attack.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Cool.
I was like, "Oh shoot! What are you doing here?"
Yeah.
Then I started crying.
Why are you here?
Yeah, I was. Then I said, "I want my $100 back."
Too late.
But I started tearing
Cool.
up. I was crying like a baby.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I was so happy to see her. It was so cool. Anyway,
Well, I'm not going to expound on this story because you told it too late in the day, and it's time for you to say goodbye.
yeah, that's right. It is too much. All right. Well, I'm sorry we waited that long to share that, but let's wrap this up. My name's Dave.
I'm Woody.
And you've been listening to, I think, a fairly titillating episode of We Can Help with Dave and Woody. And we appreciate all you interested listeners that tune in each night. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you listen to podcasts as you're on the road, you can do that on YouTube. But the reality is you shouldn't because it's against the rules.
Well, don't watch it.
Yeah, don't watch it. But listen to us on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. Again, We Can Help with Dave and Woody. Until next time, hug your children and your dogs.